Thank you for joining us for this live telephone town hall and panel discussion with Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Good evening. My name is Tim Andrews, your moderator for tonight's event. Now, this is an interactive town hall. We would love to hear your questions. So if you have a question during this program for our panel or for the Congresswoman, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. You'll get in line to speak with a member of our staff, one of our conference specialists. They'll take down your name, the area you're calling from, and the next time you hear your name, you will be live on the call and able to ask your question directly. Now, if you're streaming the event on our website, you can simply type your name and question right below the streaming player. But now I'd like to turn it over to Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman to open up tonight's discussion. Congresswoman?
Thank you, Tim. Thank you very much, and good evening to everybody. It is good to be able to come before you tonight and share, I think, some great information on what's happening both on the federal level and what's happening specifically on the state level and what affects all of you all in the 12th Congressional District. I am not alone tonight. I am happy to say that I have two friends and former colleagues. One of them is a former colleague. One of them is a former chair of my party and a longtime friend, New Jersey State Treasurer Elizabeth Moyo, and New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance Commissioner Marlene Caridi. And we served in the legislature together. So I'm very familiar with these women who have incredible careers, very important positions in our state, and are stoked with amazing information to share tonight. We are going to focus our conversation for the next 45 minutes or so on the American Rescue Plan Act and the provisions that should be most important to you. You know, from the time Joe Biden was elected and the time that the House of Representatives was reelected and the Senate changed hands, we have been primarily concerned with overcoming this pandemic, getting shots in the arms and money in the pockets of people who work every day or need to work every day or whose jobs have been threatened, whose family situations have been vulnerable and have been so impacted by this pandemic. Well, the American Rescue Plan is the latest, most comprehensive effort to do that, to address the individual needs of people, getting the stimulus checks, I call them the rescue checks, in the hands of those people who are eligible, the expanded and much improved child tax credit, which has profound impact, and we'll talk a little bit about that on our children in the 12th Congressional District, as well as making sure that we have vaccines, contact tracing, testing, access to health care, money for our state, county, and local governments to overcome the experiences they had during the pandemic. I couldn't think of two more significant and important people to share this conversation tonight than the Treasurer of the state of New Jersey and the Commissioner of Banking Insurance to talk to us and to answer questions this evening. I want to start with you, Treasurer. I know you're really anxious about all the good things that the rescue plan represents, and I was wondering if you would like to just sort of give us a few minutes of your kind of view of what this means to the state of New Jersey, the resources that are coming in under this plan.
Sure. Thank you, Congresswoman, and who I am proud to say is my Congresswoman. And I just want to thank you for tirelessly advocating for New Jersey and its residents. I'm just going to walk through a little bit about where we've been and where we're going, and what a huge part the federal funding has played in our budget and our ability to emerge from this crisis. And thanks to the Congresswoman's support, we have received and will receive much needed federal funding to help us weather this pandemic and emerge stronger on the other side. I've always said this is a health crisis first and foremost, but it's also a fiscal crisis, and it's one that hit both residents and the state in ways that we never could have anticipated a little over a year ago. When the Governor Murphy, first took office, we faced a number of fiscal challenges here in New Jersey, and we had made steady progress in addressing those challenges up to and including the introduction of the FY 2021 budget a year ago last February. We continued ramping up our pension payments, building up our underfunded surplus, instituting health benefit reforms, controlling debt costs, making investments in education and in New Jersey transit. And on February 25th of last year, the governor presented his FY 2021 budget, and then 12 days later declared a public health emergency, and we found ourselves with a proposed budget that essentially wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. And we were instead faced with trying to address a real-time funding crisis in the midst of a health crisis, which, as you all know, shut down businesses, caused the markets to fail, unemployment skyrocketed, and our state revenues plunged. And in the end, we produced 4 different budgets within a year's time, together with a series of targeted cuts in departmental savings, tax policy changes, borrowing, and most importantly, robust federal funding. We were able to meet our obligations while making critical investments to help those who were hurting the most. In total, New Jersey was awarded last year in federal relief aid roughly $23 billion. The vast majority of those funds were designated by the federal government for specific purposes, such as unemployment assistance, Medicaid, children's health insurance, public transit infrastructure, emergency management, rental assistance, and educational stabilization, just to name a few. And then $2.4 billion of that funding was awarded through the Coronavirus Relief Fund, or CRF, which gave us greater flexibility to target the money where the state felt it was needed most. And we allocated this funding in 5 major categories. The largest was towards law enforcement and various public health measures, including salaries for public safety and health employees, health and safety measures at state agencies, and increased COVID-related health care costs. Another $625 million went to child care, K-12 and higher education relief, helped us close the digital divide in every school district, assisted with reopening costs and aiding students and institutions of higher ed manage COVID-induced hardships. 212 million in funding went towards COVID-related emergency spending. 280 million has gone towards social services and healthcare support, and 447 million has been awarded to local governments and economic development and housing assistance programs. So to date, this last tranche of funding has provided $220 million to the EDA's Small Business Emergency Assistance Grant Program, and has helped nearly 43,000 businesses who were hurt during the pandemic. Additionally, the governor just signed a $5-bill, $100 million relief package aimed at helping New Jersey's economy recover from the prolonged pandemic, and that has included aid for restaurants, micro businesses, other small businesses and nonprofits, relief aid for arts and cultural venues, and funding for child care providers. And now we're eagerly awaiting the federal guidance on how the funding from the recently enacted American Rescue Plan can be spent. We're slated to receive a total of $6.6 billion under the new ARP plan, $6.4 billion through the State Fiscal Recovery Fund, and roughly $190 million through the Coronavirus Capital Projects Fund. And this is in addition to the $3.6 billion in local aid that counties, municipal governments, and school districts will receive directly. We've been discussing all the federal funding with our partners in the legislature, and we'll continue the dialogue to ensure that the ARP dollars advance our shared priorities. Which leads us to this year, where we currently are in the midst of working with the legislature to finalize a new budget for the upcoming year. People are still clearly struggling. One thing that's been made very clear by the economic data we've seen throughout the pandemic is that while most of those in the higher wage sectors were minimally affected or recovered much more quickly from the pandemic, those in the lower wage sectors have borne the economic brunt of the crisis. Although our unemployment rate fell to 7.7% this last March, it is still more than double what the rate was prior to the start of the pandemic. The labor market has recovered slightly more than half of the jobs lost last spring, but this means that over 40% of our workers still remain unemployed. Our improved revenue outlook and the additional federal assistance that is on the way is going to be absolutely crucial in helping us weather this crisis, particularly in avoiding the mistakes of the past. We saw how long it took New Jersey to emerge from the Great Recession when state government chose to cut its way out of an economic crisis at a time when the demand for critical services had skyrocketed. As a result, we have chosen to invest our way out of the current crisis. We're making critical investments in the people and programs who need it most to get the state back on its feet and build a more resilient post-COVID future for New Jersey. We're proposing $200 million in multi-departmental economic growth initiatives. We are delivering $319 million in direct tax rebates to over 760,000 middle-class families. As the Congresswoman mentioned, we're expanding certain tax credits and deductions, including veterans tax deduction, the child dependent care tax credit, and the earned income tax credit, providing the highest level of school funding in history, and making college more affordable and health care more accessible, and making the first full pension contribution in more than 25 years and a year earlier than anticipated. In summary, we're investing in our economy and, more importantly, in our people to help New Jerseyans get back on their feet and provide the tools to make us all more resilient in the face of the future challenges. And we are so grateful for the efforts of Congresswoman Watson Coleman and the New Jersey delegation for their critical support in helping to make this happen. So thank you, Congresswoman, again for inviting me to join you this evening, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Hey, thank you so much. That's a very comprehensive summary of, well, more than a summary actually, of how hard you all have been working and how much respect you all have for the working families and the small businesses and our essential workers and our child care needs and our most vulnerable communities as we're going through this. It is good to be your partner between the Biden administration and the Murphy administration, because both administrations share those values that we have a responsibility to our working families and to those who have been hit the hardest by this, and to the states and municipalities and the counties that have been hit as well. You said something that, well, two things. Number one is I agree with you. The best way to get out of this and to build a resilient economy is to invest in it, not to try to cut our way out of it. It doesn't work that way. And when we try to do it that way, those who are already suffering and sacrificing are the ones that end up giving up more of what they absolutely needed in order to survive. The other thing you talked about is the investment in healthcare. Healthcare, we know, has been so vitally important as we've gone through this pandemic, and I think it's opened our eyes, some eyes even wider, to the fact that access to healthcare is a right. It is not a privilege. And I am really glad to have the Commissioner of Banking and Insurance with us today, because you all have taken this on very seriously. And not only are you proposing to do what the plan, the rescue plan, American Rescue Plan suggests, but in New Jersey, you're even considering going beyond that. So I wanted to turn it over to you, Commissioner Caridi, to share with us what's happening from your perspective in the Department of Banking and Insurance with regard to health care.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And I must say I am really excited to be here with you and with everyone that has joined us this evening. And I am thrilled to be talking about health insurance and the brand new savings that are now available to our residents as a result of the work that you and your colleagues are doing in Washington. You know, first, New Jersey has been working for the last several years under this administration to improve access to health coverage and health care. 6 months ago, we opened up our own health insurance exchange called Get Covered New Jersey, where our residents who do not have health coverage through an employer or through another program like Medicare or Medicaid can shop for quality health plans. This new financial help that was made available through the American Rescue Plan significantly improves affordability of health insurance available at Get Covered New Jersey. It increases the amount of financial help available for those who already qualified for tax credits through the Affordable Care Act, and it made it available to those as well with a higher income. So it's a great rescue plan. Following the passage of the American Rescue Plan, New Jersey made the decision to increase and expand state subsidies that we were offering to our residents shopping at Get Covered New Jersey. So what does that mean? There are now big savings available to our residents, with more savings coming from the federal government based on the work that you and your colleagues have done in Washington and what this president has been able to accomplish, and the state of New Jersey. The savings is only available on the exchange, though. And in New Jersey, that means that you could only get the savings through Get Covered New Jersey. New Jersey is no longer dependent on the federal platform that we once had to go through, which was healthcare.gov. We now have Get Covered New Jersey. Now, 9 out of 10 residents of New Jersey enrolling at Get Covered New Jersey will qualify for financial help. Some people will qualify for nearly free plans, and that includes residents who received unemployment compensation in 2021 and who are otherwise eligible for exchange coverage and who do not have any kind of coverage, affordable coverage, through an employer, for example. Our analysis has shown that 2 out of 3 individuals will be able to access a plan for $10 a month or less, or can get a plan with richer benefits for $50 a month or less. We've extended the enrollment, so enrollment is open right now for those who need coverage, and free help is available to help guide our residents through the enrollment process and to help them choose a plan that would be right for them and for their family. You know, as you mentioned, Congresswoman, the coronavirus pandemic has shined a light on the need for health coverage and for care. And this new financial help helps to put coverage within reach of more of our residents. Because New Jersey is operating its own marketplace, we also have the ability to keep enrollment open, which unfortunately we could not do that when we were dependent upon the federal platform. Enrollment is now open until the end of the year, and more importantly, the sooner you sign up, the sooner you will have your health coverage and access to new savings. So, in a nutshell, if you don't have coverage, please check out our options at Get Covered New Jersey. If you have looked on our website before, we're encouraging you to come back on to look because, again, thanks to the American Rescue Plan, there is more financial help available not only through the federal government but through our own state subsidies. And if you received unemployment in 2021 and you do not have coverage, you may qualify for a nearly free plan. Again, Congresswoman, I want to thank you for your hard work in Washington to help provide this relief to our residents, to providing this forum where we can get the information available to our residents. Our platform, Get Covered New Jersey, is open, so we encourage everyone to come on our platform, and if you don't have insurance, to please purchase it. I think that our residents are going to be amazed at the financial savings that they will find as a result of your hard work and the hard work that our governor has put into this administration in making sure that everyone in New Jersey has health coverage, because like you said, it's a right. For more information, we're asking everyone to come onto our website, which is getcovered.nj.gov. And we also have a call center, and the number there is 1-888-888-5800. 833-77-1010. And we're open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we also have individuals that speak other languages. So language is not a barrier to keep people from being able to purchase or get quality health care here in the state of New Jersey. And again, Congresswoman, thank you for having me and giving me an opportunity to share the news of what we're doing here in New Jersey with regards to health insurance and health coverage.
Commissioner, I am so delighted to hear this good news coming from you. Could you repeat that call center number again? Because I don't know if it was just me, but I didn't get the whole number, and I'm not sure that the participants on the line did.
Absolutely. Thank you. So our call center number is 1-833-677-1010. And it's open Monday through Friday.
833-677.
1010.
Okay, 1010, like 1010. Okie dokie. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
And you all have been really thinking outside of the box here, and I really think that to the extent you have the capacity to be flexible, you've been as flexible both from the budget perspective and access to health care perspective that you can be. I'd like to turn it over to Tim for 1 second, who wants to inform our participants of some options that are coming up. I think you want to talk about the newsletter, Tim?
Yes, Congresswoman. And before we continue, I want to remind all of you that are joining us for this telephone town hall today, if you would like to ask a question of the Congresswoman or Treasurer Morial or Commissioner Caridi, simply press *3 on your telephone keypad. Or if you're joining us online, you can simply type your name and question right below the streaming player. We're going to try to get to as many questions as we can this evening. But also, if you'd like to sign up for the Congresswoman's newsletter, simply press 1 on your telephone keypad right now, and that'll get you signed up to get that great information coming back to you. Congresswoman, I'm going to turn it back over to you now.
Oh, thank you, Tim. And I do hope people sign up because we're trying very hard to keep everyone in the loop about what's been happening and what will be happening, because Congress has been very busy and the president and his administration have been very busy. And the one thing we want everyone to know in the great state of New Jersey is exactly what's happening. And we'll talk a little bit about that. With regard to access to health care, I have been working with the Congressional Caucus on Black women and girls on a couple of issues, one of which is very near and dear to New Jersey because the First Lady has been so outstanding in her leadership, and that is on the whole issue of infant and maternal mortality and morbidity and the disparities that exist. And even the president speaks about that. And so when he talks about eliminating disparities and inequities, he also mentions that. And one of the things that I found out is that we had an insurance situation where pregnant women didn't have the capacity to choose their own health plan when they found out that they were pregnant and perhaps needed something different than what they already were enrolled in. I have a piece of legislation called the Healthy Moms Act that would allow them to do that. It is something that while we've been making improvements, we haven't gotten there yet. And if anyone wants more information on that, please reach out to my office, and we'd be glad to share it because we certainly would like for more advocates to share how important that would be for particularly single moms-to-be who may not have been invested in comprehensive health care. The health care exchange is such an important service that's being made available, and the notion that you're not expected to pay over a certain percentage of your income in order to be able to secure a decent health care plan is vitally important. And thank you for sharing that with us, Commissioner. I'm wondering, there are other aspects of the rescue plan that we're not going to concentrate on tonight, but just to let people know that we haven't forgotten the issues of small businesses and minority businesses. We haven't forgotten the issue of families and the need for temporary assistance for needy families, all of which has been increased in this plan of action. We recognize the need for enhanced unemployment benefits, the extension of those, and the additional supplement of $300 a week, and that right there is going to be extended until September the 6th. I'm sure we're going to be seeing other things, and everyone knows that we have a tremendous obligation to veterans, and in addition to their increased access to health care and comprehensive health care, there are also support and additional resources to help our veterans become employed. And of course, testing, tracing, and mitigation are still vitally important. And so the rescue plan has hundreds of millions of dollars just put into it for that purpose. And we know that in housing, the threat of losing your housing either as a renter or an owner are important issues as well. And so the rescue plan addresses tens of billions of dollars for emergency rental assistance and support and help in LIHEAP and other programs, as well as help for people who have problems paying their mortgages. There's just so much that's in this rescue plan that it, honest to God, is a rescue plan. And we represent it as such, and we represent the fact that it needs to be comprehensive, and it needs to get to the families, the working families, the families that were working, the families that will be working. And we know that with Joe Biden and Congress and their plans for the upcoming infrastructure plans, that I hope that we'll be bringing you information specifically on those, that this is about getting our economy back healthy. This is about getting our families healthy and strong and stable and secure. And this is about recognizing that this experience is something that we've all had. We've all been in this together. It's affected all of us one way or another. Some of us, it has had a dastardly effect on, and we need to make sure that those are the families and those are the individuals that we are lifting up, and those are the businesses that we're trying to protect. So I would like to know if right now, if there are any particular questions that seem to be looming among our participants that they would like for us to address at this moment.
Yes, ma'am. Congresswoman, we have actually James on the line right now. Hi, James. Appreciate your patience and holding for the Congresswoman. You're live. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Hello, Congresswoman. I have a question directed to you, please.
Okay, James. Thank you.
My question is, could you please explain how H.R. 1207 will do anything for the population except for cripple the gun industry, interrupt interstate commerce, waste Congress's time, and infringe on our Second Amendment?
You know what, James, you and I can have a conversation. I'm going to make sure that my office has a chance to I'm not prepared to discuss that with you. I'm not prepared to discuss your position and my position with regard to making our community safer and healthier by getting unsafe guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have guns in the first place. And I'm not prepared to have the discussion about the implications of the Constitution and that question. But thank you for being on. And if you've got a question regarding the rescue plan, healthcare, those issues, I'll be glad to address them with one of the commissioners that's on here. Thanks for being on, James.
Up next, we have Sherry Hawkins on the line. Hi, Sherry. Thank you for pressing *3 to ask your question. You are live with the Congresswoman.
Congresswoman Coleman, I would like to know, is there going to be any money for the essential workers who have been working through the pandemic? And I'm not talking about just the doctors and the nurses. I'm talking about people who got up every day and went to work. Is there going to be any money for us?
Well, I certainly hope so. I know the American Rescue Plan has first responders and essential workers. There's over $350 billion for states to help keep critical workers on the job, including the frontline healthcare workers, the police and firefighters, and the transit workers, teachers, and EMS, but also those of us who've gone in and taken care of families, who are home healthcare workers, and those that even work in restaurants and grocery stores and kept us going while other people were able to stay at home and be safe. So yes, ma'am, there is money for the states to be able to provide additional services, additional resources to frontline workers, and I'm sure that you will hear more specific information about how that's going to translate into actual money in your pockets. That's why it was so important for us to make sure that the rescue check of $1,400 and the original $600 represented minimally the $2,000 that was in the first CARES package. If I had my way, ma'am, that stimulus check would be given to those who qualify every month until we were through this pandemic and we were all back in working and enjoying the fruits of this wonderful country and state. Thank you for asking that question.
If you have a question for Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman or Treasurer Moyo or Commissioner Caridi, they're all on the line for you this evening. Simply press *3 on your telephone keypad. And if you're joining us online, you can type your question right below the streaming player, and we'll try to get to as many as we can this evening. Actually, Congresswoman, let's get one of our online questions. This comes from Corinne. Her question is, it is reported in October 2020 that only about half of American small businesses have enough cash on hand to survive a month without customers. European countries offer their small businesses grants. Will the U.S. also offer small businesses grants and funds in this manner?
Yes, indeed. There are a number of resources that have been directed to small businesses, and some of which have been directed to very small businesses and minority and women-owned businesses and local businesses that seem to be hurt the most. There's $7.25 billion in additional funding for the PPP and expands the eligibility of nonprofits. There's a restaurant revitalization fund, which is a new $28.6 billion program at the SBA to offer assistance to restaurants and bars that are hard hit by the pandemic. There's $5 billion and set aside specifically for the smaller establishments with less than $500,000 in 2019 annual revenue. And for the first 21 days, applications from restaurants owned and operated by women and veterans or socially and economically disadvantaged individuals are going to receive some priority because we know that they've been hit the hardest. And there's $15 billion for COVID-19 emergency grants from the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program to help those who had applied for relief in 2020 but didn't receive the full $10,000 grant. And there are also other state small business credit initiatives, $10 billion to support up to $100 billion in small business for financing through the state's territorial and the tribal government programs, and $2.5 billion is dedicated to support business enterprises owned and controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged and veteran-owned businesses. So, yes, there are resources specifically categorized in the American Rescue Plan for small businesses.
Up next, Congresswoman, Mr. Dada is on the line and holding with a question. Hi, Mr. Dada, you are live. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes. Good evening, Congresswoman. I'm so happy, to have a discussion with you this evening and the opportunity to ask my question. And thank you for the good work you're doing towards, making sure New Jersey is highly safe during this pandemic. So my question to you is, if you can tell me, what are the policies in place by the federal government to make sure that everybody in New Jersey, get this COVID vaccine? because in the couple weeks we see the pandemic seems to be going up in New Jersey. Like me, as an example, I'm scheduled for my second vaccine on Thursday. So I think if people get vaccinated, then we can return back to our normal life. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for the question. And I'm not sure if the treasurer might have more specific information on that. I don't have the Department of Health Commissioner on. I do know I can speak from Mercer County in particular and the 12th Congressional District, where they have been opening more vaccine sites. I know that there is an expanded eligibility right now. And I think our greater concern, sir, is not convincing people, not getting the vaccine available, but convincing people that they should be vaccinated because of some of the news coverage with regard to one of the vaccine products, which has been ruled very safe now. And so depending upon where you are, you say you're already set up for your second shot, so you knew where to go. In each county, there are websites. In the state of New Jersey, there's a website. Even in municipalities, there's information on their websites about how to access vaccines. And if you or you have someone who is having a problem accessing the vaccine, please have them call our office at 609-883-0026, and we will look into it for them. Because you're absolutely right, sir. The more people we get vaccinated, the sooner we can get back to a maskless encounter with those we love. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Commissioner, Treasurer, I didn't know if you had any additional or Commissioner information on this.
I would just, this is Liz, the Treasurer. I would just urge all New Jerseyans to access the COVID-19 website on the state, which is covid19.nj.gov, for any information you need. Also, together with reaching out to the Congresswoman's office. I mean, the governor's goal was to have 4.7 million New Jersey adults vaccinated by June 30th. We're at 2.86 million right now. So we're well on our way. And I know we've put, there's been billions of dollars in resources dedicated to ensuring that all New Jerseyans who want the shot will get the shot in all communities. And there's outreach going on all over the state through different venues. The governor, as you know, is doing press conferences and updates on a regular basis every week, multiple times a week. And he worked closely with the delegation, with the Congresswoman and the federal delegation to make sure that states were given the resources they need, and so that we could get the message out and get vaccines in arms. And we have the Congresswoman and the delegation and the governor's efforts to thank that we've been able to get so many shots in arm. But you're right, there's still a lot to be done, but we're on our way. So as the Congresswoman mentioned, availability now, anybody, I think it's over the age of 16, can now get a vaccine in the state. So, and
I know that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know. Thank you. I'm sorry. I know that the governor has been very focused on ensuring that underserved communities are having access to these vaccines, and so there are even mobile units that are being set up. So in areas that have been more reluctant or harder to connect with, there is vaccine availability there. So please use the websites, and if that doesn't get the answer to the questions that you have or respond to the needs that you have, please reach out to our office. Thank you for that question.
Treasurer Moyo, this next question I think may be directed towards you. It comes from Yvonne Johnson calling from Lawrenceville. Hi, Yvonne. Thank you so much for holding. You're live. Go right ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and especially Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. It is indeed a pleasure to be on this call tonight. I am a veteran, also my husband, And in the state of New Jersey, there is a number of stores, usually big name brand stores, that give veterans discount. My question is, as we are encouraging and assisting small businesses to apply for the grants and assistance, especially if they are a veterans business, would that also flow down to the actual shopper? I want to know, will veterans be given the opportunity to receive some type of discount when they shop or purchase things from the stores that have received these grants and receive these assistance as a veteran? Will that flow down to the actual shopper purchase and that they are veterans, if you understand my question?
It's kind of like an AARP, right? Ms. Johnson? Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I'm here.
It's kind of like an AARP for veterans, right? Like an AARP discount for veterans. That's what you're asking about?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Treasurer,
Okay.
I don't know if you...
Yeah, I'm not aware. I am not aware if there is such a discount offered for veterans at those stores. I mean, I can get in touch with our Department of Military and Veterans Affairs and see if I can find out more information on that. I know the governor has been very supportive of benefits that can accrue to veterans. One of the things that's in this budget is that the veterans' property tax deduction was expanded to include those who served in peacetime. So we're now reaching over 200,000 participants who are now able to take advantage of that property tax deduction. But I will find out, and maybe someone on the Congresswoman's staff can get your contact information, Yvonne, and I will reach out to the Department of Military and Veterans Affairs and see if any such discount has been contemplated or maybe currently offered.
Thank you. I know we've not had that discussion in any of the briefings that I've had. That's an interesting concept. We've been more concerned about ensuring that veterans-owned businesses and other businesses that provide services and goods that people need have the capacity to stay open during the pandemic. Hadn't really focused so much on at the individual purchases level. That's very interesting. Thank you so much for raising that.
Mm-hmm.
We'd definitely like to hear from you this evening. If you're joining us on the telephone, simply press *3 to ask a question, or if you're joining us online, you can type your question right below the streaming player. And we have a quick poll question that we'd like to get your response on. It's very simple. If you're on the phone, you can vote by pressing the corresponding number on your keypad that best fits your answer. And if you're online, you can vote by selecting your response right below the streaming player. You'll see it there on the online version. And here's the question. What element of the American Rescue Plan Act would you like more information about? Press 1 if you'd like more information about expanded health coverage. Press 2 if you'd like more information about the expanded child tax credit. Press 3 for housing assistance and temporary assistance for needy families. Or press 4 if you'd like more information for small business and nonprofit financial support. Your response to this is great information for the Congresswoman, and we'd like to get your response to that poll this evening. Let's get back to the phones now. We've got Roberta holding on the line for you, Congresswoman. Hi, Roberta. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, thank you. And hi, Bonnie. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I wanted to ask a quick question. As you know, several years ago, when the cap was put on the SALT deductions, that really hurt a lot of New Jersey families here. And I know there's been some conversation recently. I believe Congressman Malinowski and some others were banding together to try to get that cap eliminated. I didn't see you as part of that discussion, and I just wanted to know your thoughts on it.
I was part of it from the very beginning. Our whole delegation is in lockstep on that, and it is a current discussion regarding the upcoming infrastructure plan that is being discussed now. So if your question is, am I in support of the deduction and banding together with the rest of my colleagues on that issue? Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Up next, we have Edward Whitton on the line. Hi, Mr. Whitton. Thank you for holding. You're live with the Congresswoman.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, this is Chiara.
Hello, Dr. Chiara. How are you?
Good. So I am concerned about something. I've heard many times here and in other situations that, to get the information you need to apply for this and blah, blah, you have to go to the website. I don't understand how people who don't use the web are going to find out about this thing and have access to these benefits. And that was the same problem for COVID. A lot of people still waiting for COVID because they cannot go on that New Jersey website. There are a lot of people who live off the grid, off the net. How are those people going to have information and have access to these benefits?
Well, if they can call the respective departments in state government. If they call the health center line at the Department of Banking and Insurance that the commissioner shared, they should be able to get information with regard to health care. If they call the Department of the Treasury Department, I would think that they would be able to give them the eligibility information for the other resources that are available to families and to children, and if they reach out to the Department of Labor. And also, I think that there have been efforts to go into areas and share information with churches and other nonprofits and faith-based communities to get information out to people who don't have access to the internet and things of that nature. That is a challenge. And so if you have recommendations for how the state or how even Mercer County or how Princeton, how Trenton, how the 12th District can get to those people who aren't capable of doing it on the internet, doctor, please share it with us, and we'll reach out to those organizations and associations as well.
Up next, we have AJ. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was going to just ask the commissioner if they had any better information on that or better ideas about what New Jersey in particular is doing.
Yes, thank you, Congresswoman. As you mentioned, we have that call center, which, for folks that do not have access to the internet, and that was a concern for us. We have that call center that they can reach out to us, and we have individuals there that speak different languages and can walk them through the different plans for health coverage and answer any questions that they have. And we've also made a point of having billboards and newspaper articles, and we've done a lot of the town halls with the clergy as well, and different organizations like the Hispanic organization to get the word out to the members of their community and use them as our voices, boots on the street, so to speak. And I know that the Department of Health for COVID also has a phone number that a call center which folks can call as well to schedule an appointment for their vaccine or for testing. So there is availability by way of phone, by way of a call center as well. You were correct on that.
And this is Liz. If I have the phone number here for COVID questions, if that's what Chiara was asking about, I thought I heard her say about COVID. With general questions, you could just dial 211 and you can access for general COVID questions. And there's also an 800 number, 800-962-1253. for medical COVID questions.
And what about just general questions regarding, like, how do I get my stimulus check? How do I get my, I'm sure the Department of Labor has a number that you can call to find out about your unemployment benefits. Department of Community Affairs should have access to information regarding housing subsidies, rental subsidies, and mortgage subsidies, either through HMFA. So I think that they can certainly get information in places other than on the internet. But if you have any recommendations, please share them with us. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Yes, Congresswoman. I wanted to give you the results of that poll that we asked, and the question was, what element of the American Rescue Plan Act would you like more information about? And it was very close to the top. 35% would like more information on the expanded health coverage. 32% would like more information on housing assistance and temporary assistance for needy families. 23% would also like more information on the small business and nonprofit financial support, and 10% responded that they would like more information on the expanded child tax credit. And we appreciate everyone's participation in that poll this evening. Let's go to AJ calling in from North Brunswick. Hi, AJ. You're live with the Treasurer, the Commissioner, and the Congresswoman. Go right ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for this very wholesome platform and conversation, Congresswoman. I wanted to find out if there's anything in the Rescue Plan Act for caretakers of elderly family members. I know New York has something wherein the family member is compensated while being a caretaker. Is there anything in the Act for that, or is there anything in general for something like that? Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. In addition to just the stimulus checks, there is the expanded earned income tax credit where caretakers are family members and students. Certain students are eligible for that tax credit. I have to look to see anything more specific than that. It has been the subject of conversations, home health care, but you're specifically talking about taking care of a family member. And I know that's one of the first bills I did was the expansion of the earned income tax credit for people who are taking care of their members, their family members at home. So if you would reach out to my office, 609-88 30026. Oh my God, I almost forgot the number. I would be glad to follow up. And can I just say, Tim, before we close out, because I know we are going to be closing out soon, for those people who are interested in additional information on health coverage, housing assistance, there were a couple of others. We will follow up on that. And also, that is a good reason to sign up for our newsletter, because we will have most frequently asked questions sections, and we're trying to educate as much of our community on the specifics of the rescue plan that will affect them, that will help them and lift up their situation. So please use us as a resource for information as well.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And you're right, that is all the time we have for questions this evening. But thank you to everybody who called in. And if we were unable to get to your specific question tonight, know that our staffers have recorded your questions and will be reaching out to you to get you an answer as soon as possible. Congresswoman, Commissioner, Treasurer Moyo, I'd like to get some final thoughts from the three of you as we close out this live telephone town hall.
Thank you. Why don't we start with Commissioner Caridi and then go to the Treasurer?
Yes. Well, first I want to thank you, Congresswoman, for having me here with you today and speaking to the folks that are on with you and your constituents. It's so important to get the word out. As you had mentioned earlier, health insurance is a right, and this our Governor Murphy, has made it foremost concern for him to ensure that our residents do have the coverage that they deserve and quality, affordable health care. I am urging everyone that's listening in today to please reach out to Get Covered, to Get Covered New Jersey for more information on plans. If you don't have health insurance, there's still time. The beauty of having our own exchange is we were able to extend the open enrollment period, and we've extended it to the end of the year. And thanks to the American Rescue Plan, as I mentioned, there is more financial aid available to folks, and people will be very surprised. I've had because they're paying less than $10 a month for health care. So please just come on our website or reach out to our call center. I think that everyone will be happily surprised with the affordability that New Jersey is providing with regards to health coverage. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Treasurer?
Thank you, Congressman. I was just going to say that the Congresswoman hit the nail on the head. The American Rescue Plan was aptly named because it certainly has come to the rescue for the states, including New Jersey, and it's going to help us and Governor Murphy and Congresswoman Watson Coleman and the whole delegation help make sure that all New Jerseyans are able to get back on their feet and will be more resilient in the face of future challenges. So I just want to, again, thank the Congresswoman for her efforts in making sure we have the resources available to achieve that.
Well, thank you, Treasurer, and thank you, Commissioner. You've really made this a very informative town hall. I'm so grateful to both of you for your friendship and for your participation here. New Jersey's in good hands in your department, and Governor Murphy is doing an excellent job in addressing the needs of our everyday families. I want to thank our participants for tuning in. Tim, I want to thank you. You did a great job in being our moderator, and I want to thank my staff, Carrie, and the rest of my staff that did a fantastic job in putting this together. God bless you. Thank you very much. Please use our office as a resource. Please stay in touch with us and allow us to be of service to you. Take care.
Thank you for those kind thoughts, Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman there. And thank you all for joining us for this live telephone town hall tonight with Treasurer Elizabeth Moyo and Commissioner Marlene Caridi. Have a great night. We'll talk with you soon.
Thank you.